Good afternoon, everybody. Old Man Dan here. Sunday afternoon. The weather's nice. Our storms are gone. So we're out walking. Well, the captain's out sniffing. We don't ever go very fast because he's got to smell everything. Panela likes to race. She gets kind of frustrated with the slow pace of the English Bulldogs because she's a Frenchie and she's fast. I'm not sure what they found here, but it's obviously a smell that they all like. I think the captain's actually looking for a spot to go poo. That's one of the things he likes to do on a walk is go poo in other people's yards. So I always have to make sure I got some trash bags. Some poo bags to clean it up. Well, not yet. Time to go looking for some more smells. Anyway, what I want to talk about a little bit is about how interesting this week has been. It started out a week ago today with the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, coming from behind a couple of times to take their first Super Bowl win in 50 years. This guy loves other people's yards. Come on, not in the yard. Let's go. Oh no, now we're going to play stubborn. There's something over there that he just has to smell. And until I let him smell it or pull real hard on his collar, we're just not going to move on. I screwed up because I brought him outside without putting on his harness. I got Pinela's harness on, but for some reason I didn't put the harness on the other two. Oh well. As you can see, here in North Carolina, middle of February, we have flowers blooming everywhere because it's been a weird year. A very weird year. We also still have debris in a lot of places because of the storms. One of the other big events this week was the Iowa Democratic Party completely screwing up the caucus. There is so much that could be said about that. Right now, my concern, though, is that a lot of the progressives and the Bernie supporters are starting to act like there's some kind of conspiracy there. Like the party or the contractor for the app or somebody was doing some kind of dirty deed to keep Bernie from winning. I don't know about that. I haven't seen any evidence of that yet. I know that they're going to do an independent investigation into exactly what happened with the app. But I don't think it's time to start talking about conspiracies and the Democratic Party trying to keep Bernie down. Well, we found another smell cluster that everybody has to sniff and mark. Sniff and mark. What a dog's life. Well, anyway, going on to talk more about the Iowa caucus. Like I was saying, I don't think it's time to start talking conspiracies and about the Democratic Party being anti-Bernie quite yet. But I will say this for all you Bernie bros. If Bernie wins the primary, the nationwide primary, if he's the elected candidate, I'm going to do everything I can to support him, to help him get elected, and more importantly, to get people in Congress that will help him accomplish his goals. My concern with Bernie is that his positions are too far left. They're really far left for me. I'm not really sure about the whole idea of free college yet. I'm not too sure about the whole universal health care yet. Bernie hasn't convinced me he can accomplish it. There's not enough support in the Democratic Party by itself right now to make that happen. And if you look at a lot of the candidates, the Democratic candidates across the nation, let's say every Democrat running for office won. Is Bernie going to be able to enact his plans? I don't know. I think for you younger guys, it'd be good if you went and read about McGovern and what happened to the Democrats running against Nixon. A lot has changed since then. I'll be the first to admit it. But a lot of things still remain the same. People out in the Midwest, in the central part of the United States, and the South especially, you know what I'm talking about. The big campaign against Bernie is going to be that Bernie's a communist, that he's a socialist, that Venezuela is a socialist country, and look at him now, and that that's what Bernie wants for the United States. It's all BS, of course. But with those people who go to church every Sunday, with those people who listen to their right-wing Republican relatives, it's going to be a very serious consideration. I'm not going to say much about this right now, but one of the things that has me concerned about Bernie, not about Bernie himself, but about the public reaction to Bernie, is if Bernie getting elected in the primary, or if Bernie went in the primary, would create a bumper crop of anti-Semitism on the right. I'm not predicting, I'm just wondering right now. As much as the alt-right goes around chanting how the Jew will not replace us, I think y'all need to be aware that if Bernie wins the primary, that there's going to be a whole lot of that kind of nonsense all over the nation. I mean, I know it's a conspiracy theory, but it's just something to be aware of and something to think about. The biggest event of the week, as far as I'm concerned, was the Senate vote on Wednesday. The trial of President Trump. I don't think anybody should be surprised by the results of that vote. And I don't think people should be upset about the way the Democrats handled it. Of course, the Republican narrative is that the Democrats didn't present a case, they didn't present evidence, and all that. But if you go back and listen to the impeachment hearings, if you go back and see the evidence that came out during the impeachment, and then you think about the fact that the Republicans voted not to have witnesses and not to allow the introduction of evidence at the trial, you can see that any claims about the Democrats mishandling the case is crazy. I mean, let's think about it. The Republicans did 8 investigations into Hillary Clinton. About Benghazi, about her email servers, about her mishandling the classified information. And in every case, we find that they came up with nothing. So, all those efforts of the Republicans paid off in one way, because they tarred and feathered Hillary Clinton enough in the public opinion that they were able to keep her from being elected president. So the Republican investigation served their purpose. And there's still crazy people going around talking about how Clinton did all kinds of illegal stuff. And that narrative is going to be around forever. And that narrative was reinforced when Trump gave Rush Limbaugh the Presidential Medal of Freedom. If you know anything about Rush Limbaugh, he's been talking bad about the Clintons since the 90s. That's one of the things that he built his huge platform on, talking bad about Democrats, accusing Democrats of hating the country, all kinds of crazy stuff. Now, if you go back and look at what I was telling you about McGovern, that talk about hating America, accusing the Democrats, accusing anybody left to center of hating America, has been a narrative that's been around forever. I hear it all the time from my crazy aunts and uncles. But anyway, enough about that. What I want to say is that Nobody should be surprised that the Republicans acquitted Trump. Nobody should be surprised that the Republicans treated the whole impeachment as a political football. Nobody should be surprised that Mitch McConnell was able to maintain control of his party and get all his senators to vote in line with what he wants. Nobody should be surprised that the Republicans are more organized, more disciplined than the Democrats. But you should take it as a lesson about the elections coming up in November, about the need for us to work together. Democrats have always been their own worst enemies. What we don't need right now is a bunch of purity tests, a bunch of my way or the highway. What we need is for Democrats to actually come together and work together. Take up common cause and work our asses off to get rid of Trump. Work our asses off to get a majority in the Senate and to keep a majority in the House. The Republicans are always going to be united. They sucked it up and they united behind Trump, as much as they don't like Trump. As many of them think Trump is the worst president ever. They joined behind Trump because Trump was successful, and a lot of people in the United States, for whatever reason, have decided that Trump is their savior. So if we don't display the same kind of unity, same kind of working together, the same kind of effort to get out the vote, you can mark my words that we're going to see a second term for Trump, and the damage that he's already done, with the Supreme Court, the damage that he's already done with many other judicial appointments, the damage that they're doing to public education, parks, the environment, American relations overseas, the economy, etc., are just going to be multiplied 10 times over. Okay, I'm untangled and I got Bonnie's poo cleaned up. And I'll end by saying this. My main point about Nancy Pelosi is that we need to be like her in that we need to call out the Republican lies and hypocrisy. We don't need to let them get away with nonsense. Every time they lie, we need to point it out. We need to stand up to it. And we need to fight together to accomplish something worthwhile in the coming elections. Anyway, old man Dan here. I'll finish walking these dogs. And then I'm going to try to finish up 2 movies at once. The one I started earlier this week about the Super Bowl halftime show. And this movie giving you my thoughts about the week we just went through. Have a great week and talk to you soon.